Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place where we unpack stacks of information, really trying to pull out those essential nuggets of knowledge for you, helping you cut through all the noise and feel, genuinely well informed. Today, we're digging into a book that, well, it really has fundamentally reshaped how millions think about money and financial success. Robert T. Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, first published way back in 1997. We're drawing from a pretty insightful review that gets right to the core of its messages, its massive global impact, and yeah, also the criticisms it's faced over the years. Our mission today is really to unpack the financial paradigm shifts this book proposes and help you understand why it's remained such a cornerstone in personal finance for, wow, over 2 decades now, even if you're already pretty familiar with the topic.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? What's truly striking here is how it just dares to challenge so many conventional beliefs about wealth, beliefs we're often raised with. It offers a really different path to financial independence than, say, what most traditional education teaches us, or maybe even what our own families told us.
Okay, let's unpack this then. At its heart, Rich Dad, Poor Dad tells this powerful story, right? Through the lens of two very different father figures in Kiyosaki's life. And that storytelling is really part of its enduring appeal, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Hmm.
The book masterfully contrasts the financial philosophies of his biological father. He calls him the poor dad, who was, highly educated, had a secure government job, that kind of thing, with the father of his best friend, the rich dad, who was actually a school dropout, but went on to build a business empire.
Hmm.
And this narrative approach, using these personal anecdotes, it just makes these complex financial ideas seem remarkably accessible,
Hmm.
relatable, almost like hearing parables.
Mm-hmm. And the central theme that comes out of these two sort of opposing viewpoints, it isn't just about making more money, is it? It's more about a complete reevaluation of like financial literacy, smart investing, entrepreneurial thinking,
Exactly.
stuff Kiyosaki argues is just tragically overlooked in, regular schooling.
Right.
Now, the book really distills its core message into 5 key themes. For me, these are the ideas that truly make you stop and, well, rethink everything you thought you knew about money.
You're right. These themes are pretty much the bedrock of his whole philosophy. So first up, the importance of financial education. Kiyosaki argues that real wealth doesn't just come from how much you earn, it stems from your financial knowledge. And that raises a huge question, doesn't it? Does our schooling actually prepare us to understand how money works, how to make it work for us?
Or just how to work for money.
Or just how to work for money. Exactly. He argues is usually the latter. And he really pushes for understanding things like cash flow management, different business structures, tax advantages for entrepreneurs, stuff that's rarely covered in the standard curriculum, but is absolutely crucial if you want to build real wealth.
Yeah, that point alone, just about financial education, that's a massive paradigm shift for a lot of people. It's like realizing you've been taught the moves for a sport, but you never actually learned the rules of the game.
Precisely. Yeah, great analogy. And that leads us straight into the second concept, which is incredibly powerful: assets versus liabilities. Yeah. Kiyosaki makes this crucial distinction, and it's one that, honestly, many people miss. They often confuse just things they own with things that actually generate income.
Hmm.
So he'd argue, for instance, that your house, if you live in it and it's not rented out, it isn't really an asset in his strict definition.
Oh, interesting.
It's a liability because it drains your finances, mortgage, taxes, upkeep. A true asset, in his view, puts money into your pocket. A liability takes it out. Simple as that, but profound.
So it's really not just about the size of your paycheck, but what you do with that money once you get it. And I imagine for many people, just trying to pay the bills, that's a tough concept to grapple with, right?
Absolutely. It totally challenges that conventional idea that just earning more is the only solution.
Mm-hmm.
Kiyosaki forces you to look at your personal balance sheet and your cash flow, not just your income. It's about optimizing what you have coming in already. And that idea flows naturally into his third big point, which shifts focus from what we earn to why we're working at all. Work to learn, not to earn.
Okay.
So rather than just focusing on climbing the corporate ladder for a bigger salary or, the next promotion, he advocates strategically acquiring essential skills, things like sales, marketing, negotiation, leadership, and crucially, investing. He says gaining this diverse skill set is way more valuable long-term because those skills let you create opportunities for passive income and true ownership rather than just bumping up your hourly wage.
That's a bold take, basically saying your job should primarily be a classroom, not just a source for your paycheck.
Indeed, yeah. And it strongly supports the fourth theme, the power of entrepreneurship. The book heavily heavily encourages readers to fundamentally shift their mindset. Think like business owners, like investors, not just employees.
Hmm.
The rich dad character actively emphasizes owning businesses, investing in real estate that generates cash flow, creating multiple passive income streams, income that doesn't require your direct day-to-day labor.
Right. Makes sense. And finally, the ultimate goal of all this, breaking free from what he famously calls.
Breaking free from the rat race.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kiyosaki paints this really vague picture of it, like a hamster wheel, where your income goes up, sure, but then your expenses creep up right along with it.
Mm-hmm. Lifestyle creep.
Exactly. So you're running faster and faster just to stay in the same place, always dependent on that next paycheck. His solution is to fundamentally change your mindset and your habits.
Mhm.
Focus on long-term wealth-building strategies that ultimately let you step off that wheel completely. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, it's really about transforming your entire approach to work, to money, and honestly, to life itself. It does make you wonder, doesn't it? How many people are stuck in that loop without even seeing there might be another way?
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, it's clear the book offers this profound mindset shift. But beyond just the ideas in the book, how has it actually translated into like tangible changes for people? What's the real world impact that's kept it so relevant for, well, over 20 years?
Well, despite being published that long ago, the core lessons remain incredibly relevant, especially, you could argue, in today's more dynamic, maybe less certain economic environment. The book is just really effective at inspiring readers to fundamentally rethink their relationship with money and to actively pursue financial independence.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes down to his simple, narrative-driven style. It just
Yeah.
resonates deeply with people.
And the numbers, I mean, they really do speak for themselves, don't they?
They do.
Since it came out, Rich Dad, Poor Dad,
Yeah.
over 40 million copies sold worldwide, translated into dozens of languages. That's not just good book sales, that's like a cultural phenomenon.
It truly is. It really has become a cornerstone in the whole financial self-help genre. You hear it cited constantly as the catalyst, the starting point for countless individuals who decided to seek ways out of traditional employment, to proactively chase financial freedom. And its success even spawned this whole sprawling brand, didn't it?
Right.
Numerous follow-up books, board games, seminars, an entire educational company under that Rich Dad banner. It just proves its lasting appeal and influence.
Okay, so while Rich Dad, Poor Dad gets all this praise for its, transformative impact, it's also faced its fair share of criticism. We have to talk about that too. So when someone like you, our listener, is thinking about its advice, what are the key critiques to keep in mind, for a balanced perspective?
You're absolutely right to ask. Yeah, no impactful book goes without scrutiny, does it? And it's crucial to consider these other viewpoints. So one common critique is the lack of concrete steps. Critics argue that the book is maybe more motivational than truly instructional.
Ah, okay.
While it gives you this powerful mindset framework, it often lacks the detailed, actionable strategies for how to implement it. Specific investment vehicles, advice on market timing, granular tax strategies. That stuff is largely absent.
Mm.
It's more of a roadmap for what to think, not necessarily a step-by-step manual
Mhm.
for how to execute every single financial move.
Right, so it gives you the why and a what, but maybe not the detailed how-to blueprint someone might be looking for.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Then there's the concern over debatable facts. Certain financial claims and anecdotes within the book have been questioned. People have looked into them and questioned their accuracy or maybe their oversimplification. Kiyosaki uses a lot of personal stories, which are, great for illustrating points.
Sure.
But sometimes the universal applicability or the exact financial figures involved in those stories have been debated, which leads some people to question the sort of empirical basis for all of his claims.
I see. And what about the general tone? Has that drawn criticism?
Yeah, that leads to the third point,
Uh,
the idealistic tone criticism. Look, not all readers may find the entrepreneurial path that Kiyosaki champions either feasible or even desirable.
right.
It's a path that, let's be honest, undeniably requires specific skills, a pretty high degree of risk tolerance, and often a significant initial investment of time and maybe capital. And that just isn't accessible or appealing to everyone. And without more real-world guidance or support, just jumping into entrepreneurship based solely on the book's inspiration, well, it could be daunting or even lead to mistakes for some people.
Okay, so putting it all together, this deep dive really shows us that Rich Dad, Poor Dad is undeniably a powerful and very thought-provoking book. one that has absolutely reshaped how millions view money and financial success.
Yeah, exactly. And while it might not offer that detailed step-by-step guide to getting rich quick, it provides a profoundly foundational mindset, a mindset that's almost necessary to even begin the journey toward financial independence. So for anyone out there interested in personal finance or maybe thinking about entrepreneurship or just feeling stuck and wanting to break free from that conventional paycheck to paycheck life, this book really serves as an excellent and definitely inspiring starting point.
Definitely. So maybe consider how even small shifts in your own financial perspective, sparked by some of these ideas we've talked about, how those shifts could potentially redefine what working for a living truly means for you, and perhaps, how much control you feel you have over your own financial